Two issues arise when a patient lacks decisional capacity in relation to their medical decisions. The first is who decides for a patient who lacks such capacity. And the second is on what basis should decisions be made for another human being. Now, the first question is often fairly easy to resolve. If the patient has designated a proxy in their advance directive, that's the person then who has been authorized to make decisions for them. In honoring their decisions, we approximate an honoring of the patient's own self-determination and autonomy. In the absence of such an advance directive, the law often provides a hierarchy of proxy decision makers, beginning, of course, with the person's spouse, if they have one, or an elder child. So very often, there isn't a great deal of disagreement or uncertainty about who ought to be deciding for a patient that lacks decisional capacity. The more difficult matter is the basis upon which such decisions should be made. Now, clearly, if a person has an instructional advance directive that talks specifically about what treatments they would want or not want in a particular situation, then that is what should be followed. Those directives, those directions in an advance directive should be followed. Now, very often, however, advance directives turn out not to be quite so clear. Maybe the person has not specified or said anything about the particular treatment under consideration. Or maybe the situation in which they have said they would or would not want a particular treatment isn't exactly the situation we're in at this moment. And so we can't be confident that in making a decision for or against a particular treatment, we are actually doing what the patient wanted or would have wanted. In that situation, we often invoke what's called substituted judgment. While we don't know exactly what this patient's choice is or would have been in the situation we're facing, we do know something about their values. We do know something about the course of their lives. We do know something about the judgments that they have made in other situations. And so we substitute our judgment for theirs, attempting to apply the values and the commitments that we know this person has to the situation before us. Post and Bluestein don't like the language of substituted judgment. They refer to and prefer something called authenticity. They say what we're aspiring to here is a choice that is authentic in the context of this patient's values and their lives. Something that's authentic to who they are. Now, what do we do if we don't have any knowledge of this person? They don't have an instructional advance directive that applies. We don't know very much, if anything, about their particular values or other decisions that they have made. How do we make decisions for a patient such as that? Well, here the standard is often called best interest. We try to make that decision which we think is in the best interest of this person simply as a human being, without any attempt to discern their particular values or their particular interests. Still, this standard is significant because it is suggesting a moral commitment to consider only the patient's interests and not some other considerations when making such decisions. Okay. Hopefully this has enabled you to have a deeper understanding of informed consent and a deeper understanding of the concrete requirements of honesty and truthfulness for healthcare professionals in the medical context. In a future presentation, we'll look at some of the other basic expectations that patients have of healthcare professionals, particularly those related to privacy and confidentiality. Those will be our concerns in the next presentation.